Peace be upon you. So I can't help myself. We'll start with a little bit of meditation and just to bring ourselves into a good space. We'll just do the 7-line prayer and then we'll do a meditation. Ong argen yogi nu jap sang pema geza dombola yang sen chogi nu drupni pema jungne jesu dra godu kandro mangpo ko ketki jesu da drupki jingi lapcher shaksu so guru pema siddhi hong. Om argen yogi nu jap sang pema geza dombola yang sen chogi nu drupni pema jungne jesu dra godu kandro mangpo ko ketki jesu da drupki jingi lapcher shaksu so guru pema siddhi hong. Organ yogi no jap sang pema gesa dombola yang sen chogi nu drupni pema jungne jesu dra kodu gandro mampo ko keki jesu da drupki jingi lapcher shaksu so guru pema siddhi hong. Completely rest the body in its natural state. Relax the shoulders. Feel the forehead to be spacious. Soften the eyes and the jaw. Again, relax the shoulders. Open the belly up. And feel your connection with the earth. Throughout the meditation, without forcing anything, each exhalation will be a relaxation of the body. And the body will be completely still. And this posture itself is alertness. We release the breath by just allowing it to breathe naturally. No pranayama, no special breathing out to relax. Just let it be. Internally, we're not saying anything like mantras. We're just quiet. And we have nothing to say. We make a decision that for this meditation, we can't figure out what life is. We're not going to philosophize about anything. We're just going to watch. And the mind is released from thinking of the future, which we know does not exist, and the past, which we know whatever we think about the past is simply a thought in the present moment and is not the past. So the mind is just here, observing whatever arises. And in this space, we gently open the eyes. And because we have a computer screen in front of us, we look up into space. And we allow the scene to simply be the scene, without bringing in any concepts, any ideation about what is arising in this field. Not even the word colors. It's just there. The gaze is resting in space. And whatever sound arises, we are aware of that sound, but we don't think about it. We don't garner any concepts around what we are hearing. We're aware of the effortlessness of awareness being aware of the sound. It doesn't require our doing. Likewise, any smells that arise and any tastes in the mouth. Usually when we're sitting, these fields are very non-active. And then any sensations which arise in the body, don't give them any image. Don't judge them. They're just phenomena arising in the field of tactile consciousness. And we're aware of them without having to be aware of them. We just are. This is the 5 sense fields. Which are there, but we'll pay no particular attention to. Our attention now arises to whatever else arises in your awareness. Anything else that arises is mental consciousness. Thoughts, emotions, images. We don't want to stop them. We don't want to adopt them. We just want to be aware of whatever arises. And we want to be aware of the stillness when there's nothing arising. This stillness we can call the space of the mind. That is, if you're not thinking, your mind doesn't go out of existence. It's simply empty of thought. And we're aware of this still space. We don't look for the still space. If it happens, it happens. We're simply aware of whatever is arising in mental consciousness or the mental consciousness itself. If there's no images, thoughts, or emotions. And simply notice when you start engaging in thought and when you're observing thought. And really pay attention to that difference. We can even consciously do it. Start thinking thoughts now. Shouldn't be too hard. Who are you meeting this afternoon? What are you going to wear? Are you too tired to go out? Maybe I need some food first. What am I having for lunch? Just think as you would as if the session's finished. Completely lose yourself in thinking and planning for this afternoon. And then come back to observing the thinking process. How does it feel to be the one observing thoughts compared to the one lost in thoughts? Is it different? Think again. Go into it. What are you going to do tonight? You going to watch a movie? Which one? Who am I meeting? Really think. As you normally do. Most of your life. And bring awareness in again. Just observe. Feel the difference. So when we're watching the mind, as soon as we notice we're caught up in thinking, feel back into just being aware and being the witness. Some thoughts feel more enticing than others. Just notice. If a sense of boredom arises, just notice. Just more phenomena arising in mental consciousness. Tune in deeply to the sense of complete ease, allowing your mind to run free. No judgment. just witnessing. Bring your awareness back into the body. And the senses. Take a moment to stretch or shake or so I think for these sessions, this is like a jam session. I noticed I just get too chaotic when it's just one class. It's difficult for me to stick to one thing, so it's nice to stick to one thing generally on the Wednesdays and then just to do what's coming up, what we feel. But I think for these sessions it'd be nice to start with questions. Okay, questions about anything rather than Wednesdays specifically wanting to go into practice. Anything that's coming up for anyone. Don't be shy. Do anyone online? Okay. Not there yet.
I think there's one other person watching YouTube.
Right. Just let me know if any questions come in on the vast network.
Okay.
All right. So one of the things that popped up is I want to go through in conjunction with Bodhisattva, if we're doing Vajrayogini, is vows. This is not a Christian path, like in the sense of the exoteric Christian culture. Yeah, this is, we're in the esoteric spiritual path, mainly, presented from the yogis in the awakening culture. Like someone like Chogyam and Trungpa is as far removed from Gautama, Buddha Gautama, Siddhartha, as two human beings could possibly be. The people who live as forest monks live quite close to how Buddha lived. If Chogyam Trungpa behaved the way he behaved with them, he'd be thrown out instantly. So there's a vast difference between exoteric Buddhist presentation of the path and the internal awakening path, and what we're relating to as refuge, and the difference between Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and the Buddha jewel, the Dharma jewel, and the Sangha jewel. So we often think the Buddha as Gautama Siddhartha. Yeah, this little Indian dude who lived 2,600 years ago. Some of you may think he looks like one of the statues or paintings. He's like white, kind of white guy, a serene looking face, rather than some little dodgy Indian bloke. Probably got a dodgy tash, not really shaved. You generally don't think of Buddha like that, just in the way you generally don't think of Christ as like a Middle Eastern dude. He's like this white guy, isn't he? These are just images to represent inner states. Yeah. So Buddha can't help you. Yeah. I remember having this discussion with a monk that I knew, and they're like talking about bodhicitta. So it's, where our understanding of bodhicitta, this profound mind, is we were talking about trying to help people and the difficulties of trying to help someone and generating this mind and what it means to help someone. And he's gone through some inner turmoil about this. And I was like, you lived with Geshe and he can't help you. So how are you going to help someone? He's a Buddha and he can't help you directly. Yeah, so you're going for refuge. A person can't help you. The Buddha jewel, there's two different interpretations of the Buddha jewel. One of them essentially is a God, which we call the Dharmakaya, which is the empty space that creates the universe, or the emptiness of your own mind, your actual nature in connection to the source of life, in a way that's relatable to us. What is our refuge is our consciousness, free from identity of a person who suffers. This is the Buddha jewel. This is when we're praying to the Buddha jewel, we're praying to us, our own deepest innate nature. That's actual refuge, right? Nothing else is refuge. It doesn't matter. You could, if Gautama Siddhartha could come back in time, from time into your room, how could he stop you suffering? Cannot do it. What he would do is guide you and give you instruction. He'll give you the Dharma jewel. Now, say the Dharma jewel's not these books. That's the Dharma. That's what when we say the Dharma. So when we say the Buddha, we're referring to Gautama Siddhartha, or a guy. Yeah, and the Dharma, the books, and that. We're not going for refuge to books. Say for many people, these cause you more suffering. Yeah, I mean, you just look at Facebook, go onto Facebook and go into the chats. Their information causes them more suffering about the path. It's like a big obstacle. Just too many Dharma books, too much philosophizing, not many yoginis. The Dharma jewel are the instructions, what we just did just now, that's like edging into the Dharma jewel. Following the instructions that allow you to see your mind. But when you actually start perceiving your mind, what you're doing to maintain it is an instruction from Buddha to find your true refuge. That's the Dharma jewel. That's one interpretation. The other interpretation is that realization itself of consciousness is the Dharma jewel. It's almost like inseparable. Like the realization of God and God is the Buddha jewel, the Dharma jewel. The actual realization can protect you from suffering. Thinking about the Dharma often, and I know this, causes you more misery. Doesn't it? Doesn't it? It causes you more pain and misery. You have to do it, but it's not the Dharma jewel, it's the Dharma. It's trying to take you and lead you to the Dharma jewel, where you're actually putting into practice the instructions that lead you to the Buddha jewel, your own mind. Now, the Sangha jewel is not you lot. Now, I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark, as I like to do, and say that you lot cause each other more suffering. Yeah, you're not an ultimate source of refuge. Yeah, the Sangha are often, they either like start shagging them, you start fighting them, you start being proud. You're better than them. I'm better than them. Practiced longer. You know, I've been practicing for 4 years. He's been practicing for. It's just pride. It's just like the Sangha jewel. That's not the Sangha jewel. That's the Sangha. Yeah. At best, there's someone who, when you're feeling down, you go like, "It's okay." You know, I was like that as well. At best, and you get like a little temporary relief. That's at best. That's what we can do, right? The Sangha jewel is what we usually refer to as a Buddha. It's a realized being. Someone who's realized their mind, that they can help you. They can help you because they know things and they can guide. Now, a Sangha jewel is often what people refer to as enlightenment. It's the realization of the nature of the mind where there's no more doubt. And say this is like a good indicator whether you've realized your mind or not, is there's no more doubt about what is suffering and what isn't. Yeah, these are the noble truths of the Buddha. When we experience that, when we realize that, then we've entered the path to enlightenment. And say the good news is, apparently, when you realize that, you can't go back into samsara. Buddha says, at the most, it will take you 7 lifetimes to become enlightened. But you can't go back into suffering the way we know it. So you've realized consciousness irreversibly. No more doubt. And now you're moving on the path. Now you're a Bodhisattva. Now you're engaging in the path. And now when you meditate, you just go deeper into consciousness. When you come out of meditation, it still feels like the world is there. Like duality is still there and it's okay. It still feels like that. So you can see when people talking about non-duality and the non-dual path, there's some that all they've done is found the mind for the first time. They don't realize that they just found it. And there's some that have got no doubt anymore. They've realized consciousness. But that's not enlightenment. They've just realized consciousness. Enlightenment, according to the Buddha, according to the system, is non-duality doesn't appear anymore. Duality does not appear anymore. There's no confusion whatsoever. And you're omniscient. But that's like, what does that mean to me? That's who you are now. It's not, that's language, and we can have concepts around it that are strange. It's our nature. But I think we can relate easier to someone who's realized than someone who's enlightened. And being realized, not that hard. And for us, it's not that hard to find a glimpse of consciousness. Satori, I think everyone here has had it. Oof. You realized when that's really stable and there's no more doubt. You can really just go into it whenever you want. And you're enlightened when there's no going in, there's no going out, it's just you, it's just your consciousness. And someone who's realized, that's a Sangha jewel. So you see, It's not many Sangha. There's not many enlightened people. Let me put it that way. And there's not many Sangha jewels. And the only way that a Sangha jewel can help you, well, what is the only way they can help you? Is it to give you a hug? Is it to be charismatic and make you zing you when you're in their presence? Or is it to give you instructions clearly that you can put into practice so you can realize? Now you've got to decide that for yourself. Because sometimes it seems just being in the presence of a very charismatic, powerful person, which a realized person generally is that's what can free you. Or is it a combination of both? Ultimately, the only protection really is realizing your own mind. It's helpful to understand Buddha jewel, Dharma jewel, Sangha jewel, and what you're going for refuge to. So you can go to refuge to a doctor, and you can go to refuge to the hospital. You can go for refuge to your friends to help you out, but it's not ultimate refuge. You can go for refuge to a teacher. You can go refuge to the community. It's not ultimate refuge. You can read Dharma books, and it can help, and it's not what we're talking about. You can go to a refuge to a concept of God. You can go for a refuge to anything. The only real protection that all the Buddha Dharma is pointing to, all the esoteric traditions, is you have to realize yourself. Rahima.
The difference being that these other things are unsustainable. They're not, like, for instance, if you take refuge in friends, they might be there for your lifetime, but they'll die eventually, or things might change. Whereas if you realize your own mind and God being a reflection of that God being that's more that's sustainable. Is that right? That's like
it's not entirely right because of the languaging around it. Forgive me, because the word sustainable implies that you're doing something to sustain it. Excuse me. Even doing the meditation we just did, you can get a sense of it, that your consciousness cannot be created. It cannot be destroyed. It has no shape, no color, no form. It's boundaryless. It's eternal, which is beyond time. It's beyond being sustained. It's beyond arising or departing. When you recognize that's you, this is dust unto dust. Yeah, even you probably wouldn't recognize yourself from 6 years ago. You wouldn't recognize the body and the personality. Totally gone. Well, let's say 7 years, your body's completely changed. The consciousness, that's who you are, is eternal. Now, in those 7 years, how much time did you spend with the sense of I as consciousness, or the sense of I as your thoughts and your body? How much? Can you tell me?
Can you repeat that?
How much time in the last 7 years Have you spent identifying as your consciousness as this is me, my consciousness, my perceptual awareness? Or how much time did you spend thinking that you're your body, this is me, and your mind, your thoughts, this is me?
The latter, probably 99.9% of the time.
Right. Are you your body and your thoughts? No, hesitation.
No, I'm
If you
not.
are, has your body changed? And if it's changed, then what happened? Because you got a different body. Do you not? Am I saying something clever to throw your mind in a spin?
No, you're not. It's just, I think the realization of that is quite unstable for me. So most of the time I still do identify with my body and mind. So I don't want this just to be an intellectual answer, but I do have faith that I'm not my body and I'm not my thoughts, because I have spent some time investigating that, but it's still, there's still like this default mode.
Right. So we've had brief moments where we recognize we are not our body and mind. And we recognize that as true. We actually have a moment of truth. When it happens, right, it's unbelievable, isn't it? I don't think I've met anyone where they've recognized the consciousness, and gone, oh, well, so, no, nothing new. It's like earth-shattering. That all day and all night, I spend my time thinking of myself as something I am not. Now, Buddha says that's why you suffer. And as soon as we identify with what we actually are, you won't suffer. It's not to be sustained. It's not to be created. It's who you are. It's who you are. And the rest of the time, you're in a dream world, identifying with what you're not. So when you're identifying with what you're not, that's samsara. And whatever comes across that false identification is suffering. Things suffer more than others, right? So your dad makes you suffer a lot, and then when you're hanging out with your friends, you suffer less. You're away from your dad. Until you had enough of your friends, then you have to be alone. Then this false identity suffers because it's alone. It has to be with someone. It can't stand being with that person anymore, and it has to be alone. Etc., etc., etc. A constant stream of discomfort and suffering. It can be tragic if you don't know that that's not you. Consciousness is available now, and consciousness is who you are. And when you realize it, you won't suffer. And the form that we're so attached to, that we're trying to, becomes a play and a joy. But having that first glimpse, that's what we call faith. So it's very different from the Christian idea of faith, right? Christian idea of faith is belief. You have to believe that Jesus is the Savior. You have to believe that God will help you. This is, you've experienced something for yourself, and then you have faith that that is good for me. And I'm going to devote myself to what I've experienced. And that the teachings make sense around what I'm experiencing. And as soon as they don't, you don't follow them. Again, it's the opposite than how we're brought up. You have to believe this, and you have to change your ways of thinking to think that. And the relief that you yourself are the refuge. And also the pain that you're completely responsible for your suffering. No one can stop you identifying or not. But this incredible excitement around when you see it, when you understand it, what Buddha is saying, you start to see the truth of it. It's incredible. You start to develop the devotion to your own being, the consciousness, and recognizing that that is in everyone, right? No one is, and you see that the suffering is people identifying with what they're not. Now, bodhicitta is the recognizing you are consciousness, and then seeing that other people are consciousness and they can't see it, and you can't bear it. Everyone that you meet is suffering for no reason. So what we call vows, it's been interpreted as vows, we want to look at it more like this. That the Bodhisattva guidelines are a description of a Sangha jewel. If I was going to describe Venerable Geshe or Sri Muji, this is how I'd describe them. It's not something I'm bad, I need to be good, so I'm going to behave like this. That's not bodhicitta. It's everything you're doing is based around the recognition that consciousness is who I am, consciousness is free from suffering, it's the only refuge. And then engaging with people, recognizing they can't see it. And then how to make a connection around them and how to flow out of that space and devoting yourself to that's what else are you going to do? As an ultimate aim in life. Then a bodhisattva can do anything. And when we're on the tantric path, you can do anything you want. You're free, that's the point. But what will this consciousness, sorry, before I move on, so you can have a job, have a partner, whatever. That's not your ultimate aim. That's fun. And it's being in the world and living. That's very different. What's my ultimate aim? Is to recognize consciousness and help people. Recognize it. And everything else we're playing at, for most people, it's not play. And Ram Dass says, when you meet someone and you recognize they're playing, you see it behind the eyes, it's the sweetest thing. It's like, oh, they're not buying into the fact that we're at work. It's just people walking about. Yeah, you just lose the concept of work, then there's no work. There's just someone over there, and there's someone else over there. And the room I'm in that you call work is just a different room painted in a different color. You could impute anything you want on it. Playtime, that's what a bodhisattva, playtime, right? Who can I help? And if you're a bodhisattva, you don't go to work. You go to playtime. And at the end of playtime, people give you money. It's like, I've had a friend like that. I don't work, I don't go to work. I make sandwiches for people. I like making sandwiches for people. And after a day of spending talking to people, I like meeting people, and I make sandwiches for them. At the end of it, people give me money. It's no different if you've got your kids. And you make your kids breakfast. When you're going to have a child, and you go, "Ooh, the airplane comes in," and someone gives you £100 at the end of the day for it. You're like, "Wow! How enjoyable would that be?" Yeah. Or you go out this afternoon, hang out with your friends, chat about music. Have a coffee, chat about music, and someone gives you there's £200. Or what do you do at work? You talk. Most people just talk to people, right? If you're a labourer, maybe if you build your own house, imagine you built your own house and someone just gave you lots of money for it. You enjoy building your own house. You're with me, right? It's just imputation. So Bodhisattva can do anything. That's how they do it. So it's like, that's enjoyable, but you're not going to work. This is what you have to train the mind in. You're not going to work to do all that. That's a byproduct. It's enjoyable byproduct to be around people and talk to them and help them. And that's underneath it all. It's how can I release every being into consciousness? But you're not doing it like you're forcing it. It's coming from your meditation and the awareness that that's a truth. You're not superimposing it on yourself to then go and be with people. Then you're a prick. And we all know that. It's like goody. And you know that someone's got an agenda of goodness imposing on you. Someone who's imposing an agenda of goodness doesn't know themselves, and we know that. When we recognize that our nature's consciousness, but we're not in it most of the time, we can laugh at our shadow side. That's generally what a friend is. We let someone into our shadow side, isn't it? And when you're with a goody, they're trying to hide their shadow side, to seduce you to follow the path. But they're hiding their shadow side, so they're lying. Yeah? It's what we call setting a good example is lying. It's not, for me, it's not a good example, it's a horrendous example. Somebody setting a good example. A good example for me is someone who's been themselves. That's a bodhisattva. It's the knowing space in which it's coming from. So don't think of things of like vows. Think of things of how much am I like this? When we go through it, how much could this be described as me? Yeah. So, because when you take the this is my interpretation. You have interpretation where you have to take these vows, keep them, be strict about it, and do it. So if you don't like my interpretation, you feel, and I'm making something up, then find another teacher to take the Bodhisattva vows off and listen to them. If you prefer like having strict vows, strict behavior, some people do. So there's 46 secondary downfalls. Again, we're not doing it that other way. We're doing it in the way of describing yourself. Otherwise, there's numbers here. What's that got to do with resting in consciousness? Resting in consciousness is bodhicitta. That's what bodhicitta is. When you realize consciousness, and then the relative bodhicitta. This is from the Dzogchen point of view. Relative bodhicitta, the kindness, the love flows out of that space effortlessly. But the point of these is we're guiding ourselves in that direction. We're not beating ourselves up about things we can't do. So it's not this literal thing, okay? So the first one is not making offerings to the 3 jewels every day. What are the 3 jewels? Anyone?
Buddha Dharma Sangha.
That's exactly what they're not. That's what I just spent the first half of the lesson saying. That's what they're not.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Wait, sorry. That's brilliant. I had a good laugh for ages. Haven't spoken to Abdul Rafiq for a wee while. What's the Buddha jewel, the Dharma jewel, and the Sangha jewel? Sylvia?
But the jewel is, from what I understand, is consciousness. The Dharma jewel is whatever gets you back into consciousness. And then the Sangha jewel is beings who are in that state. Yeah,
not too bad. From the more the stricter Buddhist perspective, is the Buddha jewel is the emptiness of your own mind. The Dharma jewel is the instructions that you're putting into practice to realize that, and the Sangha jewel are the realized beings who've realized that state. Another way to put it is the Buddha jewel is God. The Dharma jewel is your realization of it. And the Sangha jewel are those people who realize that. But the other way is a bit more true, because there's, like I say, there's a difference in realization and emptiness. So the Buddha jewel is the emptiness of your own mind. But that experience is what we call the divine. Yeah. So the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, the Buddha are like usually what we call a Sangha jewel. We call the Buddha. Human being, person that we think about and put flowers in front of, right? Wasn't it? It's basically what we consider the Buddha is the Sangha jewel. So when we do the Padmasambhava, I've incorporated that into the prayers. It's quite unusual, but most people don't. The Dharma, like Baron says, is books. Yeah. Teachings, that's the Dharma. And the Sangha jewels, you lot. Yeah. Myself in my own. Now, Baron, not making offerings to the three jewels every day. So you're breaking your vows because you didn't offer Silvio your used condom. Here's a gift.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. So think out you're like, even in doing the class and describing it, and I know that you're traveling and stuff, to pay attention. Don't worry. But sorry, it just made me laugh. Almost a perfect wrong answer. You see how tricky that will get, how tight you'll get if you're relating to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha as refuge, rather than an expression, a symbolic expression of what the actual refuge is. It's like, oh, I haven't put water in front of the shrine. Now, listen to it again. Not making offerings to the three jewels. Now, what did you offer your consciousness? What can you offer your consciousness? What can you offer your consciousness? Everything you see, everything you hear, everything you smell, everything you perceive. This is Tantra, where maybe consciousness is too vague. So you imagine that you're enlightened and that you imagine you're still like a personality, but you're offering. It's just everything is an offering. Everything is God seeing itself. This is the offering. And you can make offerings to this Sangha jewel, which is Buddha, what we call the Buddha. Now, what's the best offering the Buddha wants from you? Anyone?
Realize the nature of your mind.
Yes. So if you're sitting meditating, you're doing it. And then you just exist, and that's the offerings. That's a bit different than the more when you're still Sankhalpa comes at you from the point of view of where you are, which is, oh, there's a Buddha's a person over there, and I'm going to worship this person and this kind of thing. This is not Dzogchen. You're not worshipping anything outside of yourself. So, like in the text, like Venerable Geshe says, by taking the Bodhisattva vows, we commit ourselves to making offerings to the three jewels every day. These can be physical offerings. Can be. If you want to. If you like that sort of thing. If that's what gets you go. A lot of people do. A lot of people love making a shrine because it's beautiful to them. Then what you put on the shrine is up to you. So I knew a monk who put leeks on his. And someone said, why have you got leeks on it? I think it's beautiful. Whereas most people just do what everyone else does, which again, just is a mirror to how much of a sheep people are. Oh, everyone's putting water off in bowl. I better do that. I don't like gold much. I have like the gold. I don't like it all, but that's what the proper thing is. And people will use authority over you. Like the Sangha is just a pain in the ass. Like it's a necessary pain in the ass. It's not an ultimate refuge. You understand the difference? Anyone can be a Sangha jewel. And apparently, like in Asia, anyone can get ordained. So that means a criminal could just come out of jail, decide, yeah, I don't like the world, and get ordained. You're going to make offerings to them. You understand? Everyone here is for Dzogchen. Real understanding of the esoteric path. The exoteric is great, if that's your thing. It's just like the aesthetics. I think we're not interested in that. We're interested in realizing our mind. We don't care about anything else. We don't care about swear words. We don't care about what's socially the nice thing and blah, blah, blah. But it may come up in our Bodhisattva training. When it says we can offer mental offerings of faith, which is just developing a mind of love, that's the offering. But it's just better that everything you see and hear and touch, you're on the Bodhisattva path. What's he saying? If you enjoy your life, you're a Bodhisattva. If you don't enjoy your life, you're moving off the Bodhisattva path, right? And he says, this is how you accumulate merit. Making physical, verbal, or mental offerings to the three jewels. And it's like a very technical way of speaking. People get really lost in it. I'm going to make a physical offering. I'm going to make a mental offering. Just saying, if you enjoy your life, you're a Bodhisattva. And you're accumulating merit, good karma. The only way to accumulate a good life is to enjoy your life. If you start enjoying your life, you're moving on the path to enlightenment. Now we're getting into how Osho's interpretation, right? Now you understand. No shame, no guilt, no. The only time you fall off the path is when you're unhappy and miserable. Be happy. So many times people say, oh, I just want to go and be happy. It's like, just be happy. Be happy. Follow your heart. Be happy. It's like, what does that mean? Be happy. Just this knowledge that this is all God. I mean, unbelievably good, right? Good news, that's what. I say, good news. Is that not good news? It's like, what do I need to do? Enjoy my life. What does that mean? I'm a Bodhisattva. What's a Bodhisattva? Someone on the path to God. How? I'm enjoying my life. How do I make offerings? Well, I wake up in the morning. What's the supreme offering? Loving everybody. No offering can be higher. That's number one. So is that you? Is that you? Is that what you, and go, do you want that? Forget the word vow. Think, is this something I want in my life? I want to do that. I don't want to see my life as accidental. I want to see my life as joyful. And in that joy, I'm moving towards a deeper life and meaning. Boom. Second one. Indulging in worldly pleasures out of attachment. Oh, does that mean I have to give up anything? It just means exactly what we just said. Don't enjoy your life forgetting about everything, the Bodhisattva path, what you're doing, but you just got into it because you want to get food and food's great. And you're not thinking about anything else or anyone, just your selfish interests, just your false identity. Or you can rest in consciousness and enjoy food. Now, people who've been on retreat, Rahima just mentioned it last night, you bought like a chocolate mousse from Tesco. It's shit compared to when we had mousse on retreat, it was like heaven. You're in consciousness, you're practicing the path. Food is bliss. Bliss is the offering to the Buddhas. Joy is the offering. This is the offering to the Buddhas. Or you can do what you usually do. I'm hungry and I want food. I don't want them to get it. Well, this is the definition of the avarice, which is one of the Buddhas represent the transformation of this consciousness, the 5 Buddha families, okay? You've got a piece of cake in your mouth. You've got a piece of cake in your mouth. You've got a piece of cake on the spoon, and there's cake on the table, and you're worried that someone's going to take a slice more than you. Yep. Rahima knows that space, it seems. I know, you know that space, don't you? You got the food, doesn't matter, maybe it's for the lads. It's a barbecue chicken. You've got chicken in your mouth, you've got chicken on your hand, and you're counting, who's going to eat? That is what he's talking about. Indulging in worldly pleasures out of attachment. That's what he's talking about. Being in consciousness, having the barbecue chicken and going, this is amazing, and then just loving everyone. That's a Bodhisattva path. What do you want to do? Which one do you want to describe to you or feel as part of how you are and what you want? So when he's describing this, it's a way of describing it the other way around. We want to remember it the other way around. Whenever we enjoy pleasures such as food, like food, drink, just like the nectar of, you have a Coca-Cola and then you like this divine burp. True prayer. That's what I used to say to my mum. My mum used to say excuse me, and I went, no. She said, no, say pardon. I said, I will never say it. That terrible child. Saying, burping is what the body does, which means it's natural, which means it comes from God, which means burping is true prayer. And you telling me to say pardon is suppressing God. My mum got fed up with me after a while. So whenever Sean would burp, I'd be like, yeah, brilliant. And say, she has to say pardon. Then it's like a play, isn't it? I don't have to impose my will. It's like a play. It's fun. Clothing. Yeah, this is especially for the women. You get into Vajrayogin. It's like the joy. Well, Ananda as well. Like the joy of putting on clothes. The joy of appearance. The joy of looking good. The joy of appearance. Yeah, it's your emanation body. You are an emanation body. Yeah, you are not a physical body. We went through that at the start of the class. You're just an appearance, and you beautify the appearance. Now, would you rather do that? Or, oh no, look how ugly I look, look at... Which one's better? Which one do you want? Just appearance. Now, sometimes it's really enjoyable to look like a fool. isn't it? And your hair's sticking up. Usually maybe you reserve it for your partner. And it's like you get out of bed and it's like your belly's hanging out. You just wear your pants and your belly's hanging out. You know, and you got like a couple of wrinkles in it. And it's just like hilarious. Or if you've got kids, you come in and you do a little play. If you can't do that and you've got kids, you're in trouble. Yeah, a good dad will be one that can play and can laugh at themselves. A bad dad will be one that's serious and isn't it? The commitment advises us that we should transform our daily activities in the Bodhisattva's way of life by continuously maintaining bodhicitta motivation, which is just resting in consciousness and enjoying everything that arises. Yeah. So I know from following the path how that can be taken the wrong way, and people beat themselves up. Even I practiced for years about, oh no, am I indulgent? It's horrendous. Right? Christian culture taking on this stuff, horrendous. This is pure joy. Whenever you're falling out of pure joy, you should know well that you're indulging, that you've just come back into like a tight, greedy, painful self. And just let it go. You don't have to stop eating the cake. You don't have to do anything. If you catch yourself in that moment, this is the path. You're like, you've got some food and you're like looking, you just stop and laugh, go, fucking hell. The mind likes to make itself unhappy and then enjoy the cake again. Get the spoon, go, do you want my bite? Get the cake and give it, the slice of your eye and just pick it up and give it to someone else and laugh at yourself. Go, fucking hell, greed is so painful. You know, would you like to do that? This is the invitation. Would you like to do that? Is that like some chore? Or would you like, I don't want to do it, I want to be greedy. Do you know what I mean? And when we are, it's all right. Then with this, we can, that's what Vajrasattva's for. When we've lost it, we've just gone into the pained, greedy, righteous self. The miserable, tight, secluded, separate. Don't come near me, I'm the worst person in the world. I'm not worthy of your help. Just tighter and tighter. And so you need someone to tickle you. Just get off yourself, come on. Oh, you're a bodhisattva. Oh, what does that mean? Enjoy yourself. Being disrespectful to those who received the bodhisattva vows before us. By showing disrespect to a practitioner who received the bodhisattva vows before us, we incur a secondary downfall. This commitment advises us that we need to respect our senior bodhisattva sangha in order to increase our merit. So someone who's been practicing martial arts for 15 years and you just come into the class and you say, oh, I'll show you how to throw a punch. You know what I mean? You're just a dick. I mean, there's just no other words for it. It's a really simple thing. Someone who's been practicing this thing, because it's invisible, it's hard to tell what they know, what they don't. Can actually bring back our earlier point. The only real refuge is a sangha jewel, right? Someone who's realized. Now, can any of you recognize someone who's realized? For certain? No. So, Buddha says only realized people can recognize realized people. We can't. We don't, it's a guess. It's a hope. You don't know who a Buddha is. You can't see them. This is used as a general guideline to be kind to everyone because you might be talking to a Buddha. Because you don't know. They say, I had a dream Donald Trump's a Buddha. And people are like, a lot of people don't like him. Like he's a demon. You don't know. You don't know what God's doing. You don't know how much By putting suffering here, he's relieving suffering over there. By acting like a demon here, he's producing angels over there. We don't know. So similarly, we don't know what people have been through. We can't really see from the outside. And as you go on your journey, you realize, oh, they've probably been through that. And when you've been through something, you recognize things in a different way. Your relationship will change constantly to the Dharma. They say like you can read the Bhagavad Gita every day for the rest of your life, or like every year for the rest of it, and it'll be a different book every time you pick it up. Rima? No. But again, do you want to be like that? Generally, I think it's just a natural thing to respect someone who's been on the path longer. Unless they're being a dick. It's not like the path of stupidity. If someone's being a dick and you pull them up, is that disrespect? We have to define disrespect as being flippant and being proud and thinking you know better than someone's on the path and they're practicing. They're practicing. Someone who's slipping into their ego and behaving wrong needs to be sorted out. And in fact, you'll only do that if you respect them. I give, the story of the Sufi sheikh who ended up, pissing on the Quran and stuff. Was about to, and his disciples like praying for him. We come from the Christian sinful two culture. Well, you can't say no. You can't speak out against someone. You can't raise your voice. It's like, and I bring it up every time because it's perfect. You don't do that with your kids. You have to discipline your kids. And if you watch the Gachin Rinpoche documentary, his dad used to beat him. And my favorite one is when he put him outside in the cold, naked, so he understands what hell is. He'd be in jail like faster than a bat out of hell in our culture. He'd be in jail. Now, what did he produce? He produced the kindest, most loving being that's walking the earth at the moment. Who's right? The ideologists or the Buddhists? And it's really great because when he says, I used to hate him. It's like, hated my dad. How does he relate to him now? His root guru. Without him, I couldn't realize anything. Interesting, right? So what our understanding of disrespect is usually just sit down, shut up, don't say anything, and be like a frightened gerbil. Oh, this is me showing respect. No, it isn't. It's you being a coward. That's all it is. You're being disrespectful if you're judging a Sangha member who's taken Bodhisattva vows for you just because they're living their life. But if they're like out of hand, it's the respectful thing, it's to help them. We know ourselves. It's an internal path, whether being respectful or disrespectful. But it might take a little while to sort out what it means to be a coward and the inability to say no, the inability to stand up to someone, the ability to be firm, to have boundaries, and be respectful. But generally, again, it gets like, maybe get social living will get intermingled with inner respect. So whatever spiritual group you go to, respect people being there in Precence. Natural thing. Now, you might meet them and you might not like them. Right? You don't get on with them, don't gel them, don't really understand what they're doing. I don't really want to practice like that. But you don't badmouth them, you don't disrespect them. Yeah, we see, really, I feel it just like deep down in myself. We sense that respect means we have to agree with someone. We have to conform to them. We have to be passive to them. So my Lama said, she said, one of the things you must learn on the path is how to say no. Or you just become a two energy. It's like, and she's like, I think I've done it too much. It's now my default mode. She's like, no. She said, otherwise, she says, you get invited everywhere. And she said, yes. She said, I'd probably die because I'm too old. So it's just a good thing. Just like, no, I can't come. Sorry. I've got stuff on. It's not a flippant no. It's that ability to say no. Think of it like internally we say yes to everything. It's better. Like she's like saying, I've slipped into this over time and it's not that good. Instinctively, just no. Instinctively, we want yes. And then we can reflect and go no. She says like instinctively she goes no, and then she reflects and she goes, oh, okay, I can take it. If you get lots of offerings all the time, people offering you stuff if you're a popular teacher, and it's like you have to say no, no, can't take anymore. It's 12:52. Has anybody got any questions? Hope everyone's all right. The fourth one, not replying to others. So if Venerable Geshe says, if someone greets us in a friendly and courteous manner and without a good reason, we give no reply, we incur a secondary downfall. This commitment advises us that we should try to make others' minds happy by giving suitable answers and advice. It's just saying, just keep a good connection. Unless you're carrying lots of wood and someone says hi, you just ignore them. Baron. You're doing a job, you got lots of gear and someone speaks to you, just ignore them. Because they're being stupid by speaking to you. Afterwards, you can say, couldn't speak to you. Couldn't you see I was busy? Right. That's a good reason. Anyone think that's not a good reason? Etc., etc. You figure out, it doesn't mean you become like some kind of puppet on a string for people to manipulate you because you're meant to be good. That's another good reason to ignore someone. When you sense someone's trying to manipulate you, because they think you're a Buddhist, if we're using that term. So they say things to get your attention because you're a Buddhist. In that case, you should tell them to fuck off. Because they're being emotional blackmailers or emotional manipulators. That's not a good reason. Yeah. What's a good reason? Basically just kind of be a nice, happy guy. Someone says, hello. You see someone in the street, hello. If someone's like that, and hello, and you're not doing anything, you go, hello, and you just ignore them. That's not very helpful, is it? We want to be someone if someone's just being nice to us, we just be nice back. If you're experiencing some mental torment and you're having a really bad day, and it's just difficult for you just to get out of bed, that's a pretty good reason. Later on, you could maybe say to someone, I wasn't in the space to speak. And if you're both on the path, you should understand. Otherwise, you notice, if you notice this, like you maybe you're on your retreat or we're doing something together, and you're not in the mood. And someone's like, hello, hey, I'm happy, you should be happy. That's the vibe, right? Then you can sense they're imposing. Why aren't you saying hello back? So we can see that this is addressing this kind of issue, this arena. If you don't say hello back, it's hurtful. Right? Does anybody disagree with that? If you say hello to someone and they don't say hello back, it's hurtful. So what's the reason that you wouldn't do it? And is it good? And if you suffer from depression, that's a good reason. So if you know someone, and if it's you know each other, like for example in the Sangha, and they're not saying hello back, you should anticipate that and not impose the sense of that greeting on them. Does that make sense? The person saying hello too, we want to engage in that Bodhisattva sense of sensing into people, sensing what is the right thing, and just an underlying sense of care about our struggles in life. Like, what's it Bill Hicks said when someone said, someone walks past going, and he's not smiling, and someone says, it takes more energy not to smile than to smile. And he's like, it takes more energy for you to fuck off than it does for you for you to say that. Something along those lines, you know. So we get the general idea, like not engaging with others without a good reason. Does anybody here not think that struggling to get out of bed, feeling really down, and not wanting to engage with people, that's not a good reason? Does anybody think that? No. But people interpret it like that, like they just got to say hello back. They've got to lie. They've got to pretend that they're better than they are to feel like they're a bodhisattva. It's not true. That's setting an example. That's lying. Here's a fun one. Oh, no, it's 1 o'clock. But I'll just tell you the title and then you can think about it for yourself. Not accepting invitations. So it's like a two's hell realm. Like hopefully when you can sense it the way that I'm presenting the Bodhisattva vows. Not accepting invitations. Does anybody have any questions? We all know the difference now between the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and the Buddha jewel, the Dharma jewel, and the Sangha jewel. And what we're going for refuge to. Yeah. Why we're going for refuge. What bodhicitta is, and what it means to rest in consciousness. The Buddha jewel and bodhicitta is an expression of that Buddha jewel. It's just to be happy. Enjoy your life. Pretending to be someone else is not the path of happiness. Pretending to be happy when you're not is not the path of happiness. So I'm hoping get across a sense of relief that really deep down all the time it's just pointing to, what do I need to do? Nothing. You're just aware. And that fulfills everything. Is that there's nothing here that wouldn't be fulfilled by being aware, right? You're aware that the person is feeling down. You might not, you wouldn't say hello. You might not, you might. You might sense that saying hello might lift them. But you might not say hello because you might sense that they're in a space they don't need to be talked to. Yeah. I'm saying this because, again, these are not fixed phenomena. They're expressions of that awareness that spontaneously knows what to do, and it's just being aware of it, aware of the awareness. And in that space, everything we do is an offering. Everything we do is an upliftment of our spirit, an enjoyment of the life. And we are it expressing itself. Yeah, this is a beautiful path. And when we're going into Vajrasattva, and Vajrasattva is one of the things that it's designed for is when we've broken these vows. Don't think of it like some kind of punishment exercise. Think of it of that habitual sense when we fall into greed. Yeah, like we're eating food in a horrible way. We ignore other people. We disrespect people. It's like we're just consciously clearing that out. What are we doing? We're consciously clearing out identification with the body and mind. That which we're not, that which makes us suffer. In just beautiful, symbolic ways to help us ease into the space that I am not the false self. I am not those things. That's when I'm falling, and I'm not that. I hope that makes sense. I hope it had some value. Okay, so let's dedicate. May every living being without exception be born in the pure land of bliss. May everyone have bodhicitta motivation in their heart, and may everyone realize their own true nature, and may suffering leave and never be heard of again. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Amen. Thank you so much. God bless. Have a beautiful day.